NFT. Hello everyone, NFT News here. Again, coming from sunny Barcelona, and we will be interviewing a series of movers and shakers in the impact NFT world and various projects and people coming from all over the world to share their ideas and help each other to make bigger impact and better impact. Today, we have Andre Vinit Robin, from founder of Plastics with us, and would love to share a little bit about himself, and we would learn more about why this is such an important issue for the world and for everyone, especially for our Mother Earth. So, Andre, please tell us why Plastics and why this particular organization, and tell us the history and why you started it.
Well, Joe, thank you very much, first of all, for taking the time to speak. So I founded the mother company, Nozama, in London in early 2019, with the vision and the objective of building a leading sustainability technology company. And that means essentially three things. It means tracking CO2 emissions across the distribution channel up until the end consumer. CO2 emitted and offsetted, CO2 saved. Number two, it means tracking single-use packaging plastics recovered from the end consumer up to the recycler. Kilograms of plastics recovered, kilograms of plastics recycled. And number three, it means merging the data, the data flow of CO2 and the data flow of packaging plastics recovered and recycled into marketing tools, so that our customers, like Nestle Corporation, for example, can prove their commitment to the environment and build loyalty and incentivization programs with their end consumers on the basis of individual environmental footprints. Last summer, when the European Union passed new legislation which states that all consumer brands are to be required of making sure that at least 35% of the single-use packaging is reflected by or comprised of recovered material, we determined that it would be a very strong driver for gathering the waste. And effectively, waste management companies became the focus of our company. Why did we decide to focus on waste management companies? Not only because of the regulatory environment in the European Union, but because they make money two ways. They make money collecting waste, and they collect this waste for municipal governments, for private entities. The second one, which is the interesting one, is what they do is they separate this waste and identify what type of waste can be sold as a prime resource or a feedstock. For example, polypropylene, one of the plastics that can be reused and created into pellets, so that the recycling companies who buy this can actually redo the packaging with recovered materials. So on that activity, we said, well, wait a minute. If you're selling this, that means you're issuing invoices. If you're issuing invoices, you're paying taxes. If you're paying taxes, you're paying on taxes something you sold. Conclusion, the invoice is proof that you've actually recovered a certain quantity and a certain type of plastic, and you can convert this proof into what we call a plastic recovery guarantee. And essentially, you would more know it as a plastic credit. Very similar to the carbon offsetting market, but in the plastic credit market, which is beginning, which is being born as we speak. And in this sense, they can put up these NFTs for sale, so that they can do essentially two things. Part of the revenue is gone to non-for-profit organizations in developing nations that are directly related to plastic recovery. And the waste pickers, with this source of money, can be incentivized to collect more plastic, and they, of course, will improve their lives, social impact. So that 40% of what is sold on the NFT goes straight to them. And the other 40% goes to the waste management company to do what? To incentivize them to be transparent, to allow the traceability. Now, we also wanted to say, well, only accountants have an emotional relationship with numbers or balance sheets. The fact that you're in a store and on the shelf looking at Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, you're not going to make your choice because you read an annual report that Coca-Cola has done so-and-so and these types of things. You're going to say, how can I emotionally be engaged in this? So we said, well, art is really the embodiment of emotion. So let's allow artists to join the platform, create their NFTs, and link these plastic guarantees, these plastic recovery guarantees, with each NFT in the country that they would like to have an impact. For example, in Thailand, in Kenya, in India, these are countries where we work, in Ivory Coast, in Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Costa Rica. Whatever artist says, I want part of the funds to go to a non-for-profit in that area, each time there is an NFT that's being bought and sold. And so we said, well, in that case, the artists and the waste management companies can work together to help reduce waste in the environment.
Andre, that's fantastic backgrounds and really good motivations for the artists to get involved. Let me go back a little bit.
Sure.
What would it motivate the company to give up their part of the revenue? Why not just those waste management companies say, you know what, thank you for the idea, I'll keep all the money and the credit that I'm going to be selling. Why not as a for-profit company? Why don't they just keep all the money?
Well, that's a very good question. So the waste management companies make money two ways, right? So for 50 years it hasn't changed. It's collecting and sorting and selling, basically. So collection and sorting, selling. We're saying, well, now the data that you're generating in the course of your activity has value. And plastics marketplace is where you can sell that value. There is no other marketplace on the planet as we speak. So you can sell your value in terms of the guarantee that you've recovered a certain amount and a certain type of plastic and put it up for sale on the plastics marketplace. Now, eventually, obviously, we expect competition as we are getting more and more waste management companies across the world that are minting these NFTs, that are minting these recovery guarantees. Nevertheless, we are the marketplace where the buyers, consumer brands, any company or consumer that uses, produces, or distributes plastic is looking to basically offset their plastic footprint and also basically to look towards a corporate social responsibility campaign to say, I am committed to this geography and to make sure that this is being, this money is going to the hands of the waste pickers to improve their lives. These two very powerful messages are what the plastics marketplace offers. So it's extra money. If I'm giving you extra money, the condition is part of that extra money has to go to do positive impact on the environment.
Right. So on the question about impact and improving the life of those plastic collectors and pickers, how do you actually monitor, how do you measure, and how do you audit it and report back to be transparent?
Good question again. So the point is, to be able to mint these NFTs, you need to be verified. So Nozama's role is a verification body that we are actually trying to promote plastics as the plastic credit at a worldwide level based on our verification criteria, where we look at all the information of the non-for-profit, we do an audit, we make sure that everything is according to our procedures internally and according to what we had developed with lawyers to make sure that our plastic credit could be considered a plastic credit. And if all the boxes are checked, we say you are verified. So the money goes straight to the organization that is dealing directly with the waste pickers. And of course, the random audits are to check. An example, you as a journalist, in theory, you would buy an NFT from any of these waste management companies or these non-for-profit organizations, and as the owner of that NFT, you could conceivably call them and say, I'd like to see the underlying invoice behind this NFT, because there are 5 data points on the NFT. Invoice number, date of invoice, type of polymer, quantity of polymer, and the destination of this polymer. So you just want to do a random check as a journalist. And then of course they would come up to you and they would show you and produce the invoice that is linked to this NFT. If they didn't, then obviously reputational damage, they would no longer be able to sell on the marketplace or on any marketplace for that matter, and they'd just be burnt out. It'd be over.
Right. Well, thank you for answering that question. So on the different side of the coin, how do you create the demand and from the artists or from the organizations, how do you create the supply and demand or balance them?
Well, from the demand side, they are consumer brands or any company that is using, producing, or distributing plastic, that they need to offset their plastic production in terms of usage or distribution of what they themselves cannot do internally. So clearly there needs to be a reduction in plastic usage, absolutely. However, a company cannot necessarily in short term or eventually be plastic zero. Nevertheless, according to the law, by 2030 you need to be plastic neutral. Conclusion, whatever you cannot do internally, you go out and you make sure that you're compensating this plastic usage. So whatever you're producing, you're making sure it's being taken out of the environment. And that way you're plastic neutral. This is a very strong regulatory demand. The second demand is from a corporate social responsibility perspective. The markets, Generation Z, millennials are demanding companies that are responsible towards the environment. And so they will reward these companies with their purchases. And so how does a company prove their commitment to the environment? By demonstrating that they have acquired plastic recovery guarantees, because part of this money is being sent to these non-for-profit initiatives. And so when they're showcasing this, their consumers will say, this company is actually taking part of my money and they're doing something good for the environment. I will reward them with my business. So those are the two drivers for the demand. On the supply side, we've talked about it. Waste management companies are making money two ways. Now they make money three ways. So they're incentivized to be transparent. To provide accountability for what they're doing. So that's easy. More and more companies are coming across the world towards plastics.
Sounds like it's a win-win-win.
It is. It's a win-win-win
situation.
Absolutely.
So talk about the track record right now. Since you launched, how many organizations, how many brands on both supply and side and have participated, and what are some of the success you have seen?
Okay, so from a business perspective, we have more than 30 waste management companies across the world, from India, Thailand, Ivory Coast, Kenya, Senegal, Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, California State in the US, Washington State, France, and Spain. So there we have a very, very big, one of them is the largest company in the world in waste management. From artists, we have artists across the globe that are creating NFTs. From the demand side, our reference customer is Nestle, Nestle Corporation. We've got about 20 companies that are very big companies, but not necessarily well-known companies in production of plastic. And from the token side, to actually build all of this, we launched the plastic token back in October. We sold $2.1 million, October, November. We listed on two centralized exchanges. One of them is LBank, and the other one is Bitmart. We launched the platform on Silo blockchain in April. We've received the funding from venture capital in San Francisco, in New York, in Israel. We are also received the funding from Silo Foundation. And our current market cap is around $37 million on CoinMarketCap. So from a token side, we're consolidating. From a marketing business transaction side, we're getting more and more customers, more traction, selling thousands of dollars worth of plastic credits or plastic recovery guarantees. And we're a team of 32, wow. Pretty much. Yeah, we're a small team. Nevertheless, we're pretty much based here in Barcelona and in Hanoi.
Wow, in Hanoi.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic stuff. So looking forward, where do you see the growth market, and where's your opportunity, or what are some of the challenges?
Well, we see the biggest challenge as being recognized as the reference plastic credit. The carbon credit market is well established, and it's not blockchain based. Blockchain was added later. The plastic credit market did exist, and we basically initiated it on Web 3.0. On the blockchain. So the big challenge is to make sure that around the world people adopt the NFT of a plastic recovery guarantee as a plastic credit. That's so adoption, basically. We want to be as fast as possible across the planet to get this verifiable method of guaranteeing that a certain amount of plastic is being recovered. That's the biggest one. And then obviously from the demand side, we want to make sure that corporations continue to pile on, if you wish, to acquire this. And then the third one is consumers. Of course, on the plastics marketplace, very similar to Facebook or to Instagram, you have your sustainability dashboard. So whether you're a company or you're a consumer, you have basically what was your impact into what geography. You show the NFTs that you've acquired. You can basically say, well, I have been personally involved in making sure this amount of plastic was recovered from the Amazon, this amount of plastic was recovered from Indian region, and so just to have user adoption as well. So official recognition, corporate adoption, and user adoption. But we're on the right path. And of course, continuing to fund the growth of the company.
again, it sounds like a win-win-win for corporate, for the platform, for the marketplace, and for the brand as well. But at the end, do you see the plastics consumption being reduced and the waste and going to the habitats being reduced?
Absolutely. We have to take into consideration that 100% of the plastic production in the world has to be accounted for. You need to know what is being produced. So that's the first point. And thanks to plastics, assuming 100% of all waste management companies across the world wanting to make money are minting these NFTs, all of a sudden you have massive transparency in an industry that has been opaque for the last 50 years. So all of a sudden you have transparency and accountability in an industry that has not been transparent. So that's first number one. Number two, you're providing the ability for all the end consumers to be a part of the waste management process by acquiring this transparency and by making sure that the products and services that they're selecting when they go to shop are from companies that have demonstrated their commitment to the environment. So the incremental change of having consumers reward companies on the basis of their impact on the environment is also going to have a significant impact in companies wanting to have an impact on the environment and making sure that whatever products and services they're putting out there are not harmful to the environment. This is demand. So incrementally, a very good example. All of us, 99% of the population is basically subject to surviving. 99% of the world survives. You get up in the morning, you want to go to work, you look at the television, and you're bombarded with the apocalypse, climate change, everything. And your heart is wrenched. And then you go to the office completely boosted and energized. You want to make a difference. By 10 o'clock, you've got your first meeting. By 11 o'clock, you've got a report to do. By 12 o'clock, you may have lunch. Then you have the boss, the colleagues. By 3 o'clock, you start to get tired. By 4 o'clock, you're thinking, I want to go home. By 5 o'clock, you're somewhere on the bus or the subway, you're exhausted, and you're going home. You must take care of the kids, and then dinner, and then take out the garbage. And you go to take out the garbage, at least in Europe, and you're faced with options. Is it the bin yellow? Is it the bin brown? Or is it the bin gray? And you think to yourself, is it worth it? Am I going to make a difference? Well, if you know you're going to make a difference, you'll do the right choice, number one. Number two, do you want to base the salvation of the world on that type of individual, which is 99% of the population? No. The power that individuals have is in choosing products and services from companies that have demonstrated their commitment to the environment. The power of consumption. Do you want to go into a cave and stop consuming? Well, you have the Luddites of the 21st century that are, basically claiming that this is a solution, but it's not viable. As a species, we need to consume. As economies, we need to grow, but you cannot grow unsustainably. So the way is to grow in a circular fashion. And to grow in a circular fashion, you need to have 100% accountability of the waste that is being generated, and you need to know that it's being recovered. So incrementally speaking, we think we can definitely have an impact. And then finally, the real reality is all these waste pickers in the streets that are living at sub-poverty levels, you go to a waste management company and say, could you kindly give a portion of your profit to help their lives? They're going to say, I would love to, but as a businessman or person, I am unable to. I need profit. So now you tell them, by the way, I'm going to give you more money. However, part of that new money has to go to help their lives. You are, and we're seeing, going to say, okay, I accept. And this money goes into the lives of these people, so they can have a better livelihood doing what? Picking up waste.
So, Andre, the plastics also monitor the last mile of the money that's being going to the plastic collectors.
Yes. So,
can you give me some examples of those in Hanoi or other parts of the world?
Hanoi is a development center in Kenya. Basically, the non-for-profit organization is collecting the plastic, the waste, and they have to give.
What's the name of the non-profit?
Vince Plastic. Vince, V-I-N-T-Z.
Okay.
And they have to basically account for the money that is being given to the waste pickers there. And then we have again the audits and the queries asking how's it going. And then you have the profiles with the narratives, the pictures, the testimonials, and things like that. Short of actually going down there, which can be done, this is what we're getting from feedback from that.
Right.
But for them to be on the platform, they have to be verified by our staff. So nobody can say, I'm a non-for-profit, I'm going to give some money to the waste pickers and then keep the money for themselves. We have to go through a verification process before you do that.
Well, thank you for your time and explaining
Thank you,
how it all works. So we're going to go back and talk to more people just like Andre that's creating new platforms, new ideas, and new ways to help the world. Come back to you next with the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Well,
John.
thank you.
Very,
Thank you.
very grateful for your